She said, when I picked up my granddaughter from the federal agents, she had a dirty diaper, a bruise on her face, and was developing a rash. She was exhausted and cried. My heart aches knowing this could happen to others, to my kids, or even me, despite being U.S. citizens.
As soon as the mass deportation effort started up in earnest, I talked about the dangers that would be posed to American citizens. Not as though American citizens are more important, or that's the only thing we should focus on. Absolutely, communities are being destroyed. Families are being destroyed. Humans are being rounded up and kidnapped off the street by masked, heavily armed agents of Donald Trump's secret police force. It's happening on a daily basis all across the country. And LA and Chicago, here in DC, it has been at a breakneck pace. What I'm going to talk about today is about a United States citizen, though. The Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh said, yeah, you can round them up based on how they look, based on what they're speaking, what kind of an accent they have, or if they're speaking Spanish. And American citizens, they have nothing to worry about, except for the fact that they do. And nearly 200 that we know of, that ProPublica has found, have been rounded up, detained for sometimes days and days and days. Gross. We're going to be talking about Dennis Quinones and a case where ICE agents, the masked secret police agents, kidnapped and abused his toddler in their custody. They kidnapped a toddler in a car seat, drove her off, didn't change her diaper, for hours and hours and hours and hours until her family was able to finally reunite with her. We have armed, let's just put a fine point on it, a heavy exclamation point. Donald Trump's secret police are kidnapping citizens and kidnapping their children and abusing them. This is happening in America. Here's the headline from the New York Times, and I'm going to play a video that explains the situation. Immigration agents arrest man in LA raid and drive off with his toddler. The child was later reunited with her grandmother, but the episode alarmed immigration rights groups. The father, a United States citizen, faces a gun possession charge, which, are we to believe that to be true? They're liars. ICE are liars. ICE should be abolished. It should be disbanded. It is now a white supremacist organization working to rid America of Latinos and apparently even citizens who are Latino. Watch this video from the New York Times. This is what was accompanying that front page there that you just saw. And then we're going to get to some reporting from MSNBC that really illuminate how much abuse that this little toddler, this little girl, this innocent child underwent at the hands of the neglect of ICE.
When you rammed them with a baby in the back, bro.
There's a baby in the back.
Yeah, bro. The guy was doing absolutely nothing, bro. He was doing nothing, bro. He got the toddler in the back.
And they're trying to take him
Fucked up, dude.
They just want to take him.
What are you doing?
Drop down. Drop to your knees. Drop to your knees. Drop to your knees.
Look at that, in the car with guns with the baby. Look at this scumbag right there. Look at that. Look at that with a baby in the back.
This was a cognizant toddler who was looking at me, looking at everyone. Two men in the car with full military gear who she doesn't know. It felt unbelievable.
Disgusting. Violent. Almost every single agent you saw there was masked, anonymous, not saying who they are. Taking a United States citizen. Why is Immigrations and Customs Enforcement arresting a United States citizen? Well, they say, oh, there's a gun. He had an illegal gun. I don't believe that. I don't believe anything they say. They are liars. They've been caught in court lying. Federal judges are saying this cannot be believed. This testimony from these sworn agents cannot be believed. They're liars. They lie with regularity. This is reporting from MSNBC about exactly the condition of the child when she was returned to family. And it is This should be the thing that wakes up Americans, even the Republicans who claim to be the family values party. It can't only be family values for white people and kidnapping and abuse for brown people. That seems as though the path forward for Republicans, though.
We have some new video, not just this angle, that adds additional context to this story, and I want to put it up on the screen right now. In a federal charging document, the Justice Department says that the Border Patrol approached Quiñones from over 100 feet or around 100 feet away. And you're watching this video from the Los Angeles Rapid Response Network right now that shows that exact thing happening. Quiñones, this is the Home Depot, by the way, around the corner from my house. He is in the far, far end of the Home Depot parking lot, about as far away, not only from the Day Laborer Center, where they were targeting and had arrested 5 undocumented immigrants, but from the Home Depot itself. And you watch them surround and box in Quiñones' vehicle right here. Even if the allegations against Quiñones are true, that he had a gun in the vehicle and he threw what the Border Patrol says is a rock-like object at the Border Patrol agents, it raises very serious questions about the Border Patrol's ability to care for a young child like the daughter of Mr. Quiñones. And I want to read to you a statement that his mother, once he was released yesterday, issued to the public to better understand how his daughter was treated by the agents that you're seeing on the screen right now. Let me read from it. She said, "When I picked up my granddaughter from the federal agents, she had a dirty diaper, a bruise on her face, and was developing a rash. She was exhausted and cried. My heart aches knowing this could happen to others, to my kids, or even me, despite being U.S. citizens. We're now questioning our safety and feel more vulnerable simply for being Latino. I fear for my grandkids growing up in a country that targets Latinos and profiles dark-skinned people. I hope things improve, though it's hard to imagine how it could get worse." What this brings to mind for me, Nicole, is the time I spent in the McAllen Border Patrol Processing Center at the height of the family separation policy. Those Border Patrol agents said to me then that they were strained and stressed and struggling because they are not trained as social workers. They are not clinical professionals meant to take little children away from their moms and dads, yet that's exactly what that policy did. Dana Sabra stopped that policy after 5,500 kids were taken away from their parents. Stephen Miller wanted it to be 25,000 using a process called administrative separations. You are watching those same types of agents, Border Patrol agents, basically effectuate family separations in the interior, in this case a U.S. citizen who was accused of a crime. But that does not negate the questions being raised by lawyers and others about how they are treating not only United States citizens, but little toddlers like the 1-year-old girl that's at the center of this story. And this is just the beginning of this story.
Dirty diaper, bruise on her cheek, and developing a rash. That's abuse. At the very least, that's neglect. Neglect is a form of abuse, is it not? ICE agents are kidnapping children and then abusing them through neglect. That's the title. That's the thumbnail. That's the message. That's the truth. And it's not an isolated incident. They will try to paint this as some kind of an isolated deal. Oh, this rarely happens. That is not the truth. ProPublica did an analysis, and they have identified 170 plus American citizens who are being caught up in these sweeps. It's not me. I'm not being caught up. I've talked shit to federal agents on the street. We were coming out of a restaurant right when this whole thing started with the occupation of Washington, D.C. And there was Secret Service out there having someone pulled over doing traffic stops. And I goaded them. Trump got you out here doing traffic stops, huh? You must be proud of your job. They're not going to arrest me. I look American, right? I look like what they want Americans to look like. 6'3", 240 pounds, white. They can't say, oh, you look Latino, I'm going to take you in. But that's what this is about. This is about white supremacy. This is about creating an ethno-state in the United States. That's why we're shuttering the refugee program, the asylum program in the United States, except for white people from South Africa. Right. Here's the headline from ProPublica. We found that more than 170 U.S. citizens have been held by immigration agents. They've been kicked, dragged, and detained for days. When the Supreme Court recently allowed immigration agents in the Los Angeles area to take race into consideration during sweeps, Justice Brett Kavanaugh said that citizens shouldn't be concerned. If the officials learned that the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the United States, Kavanaugh wrote, they promptly let the individual go. Do they, Brett? Do they? You know that not to be true. But, you're a liar. So we know where you are on this. But that is far from the reality, ProPublica says, many citizens have experienced. Americans have been dragged, tackled, beaten, tased, and shot by immigration agents. They've had their necks kneeled on. They've been held outside in the rain while in their underwear. At least 3 citizens were pregnant when agents detained them. One of those women had already had the door of her home blown off while Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem watched. We compiled and reviewed every case we could find. Not every case, just every case they could find. Every case they could find of agents holding citizens against their will, whether during immigration raids or protests. While the tally is almost certainly incomplete, we found more than 170 such incidents during the first 9 months of Donald Trump's second administration. Among the citizens detained are nearly 20 children, including 2 with cancer. That includes 4 who were held for weeks with their undocumented mother and without access to the family's attorney until a congresswoman intervened. And finally here, immigration agents do have the authority to detain Americans in limited circumstances. Agents can hold people whom they reasonably suspect are in the country illegally. We found more than 50 Americans who were held after agents questioned their citizenship. They were almost all Latino. Again, going back to the point that I'm not at risk of arrest, of being questioned as not being a citizen. But someone who's born here, who's brown, is. So they don't get the full enjoyment of liberty under the Constitution of the United States to be unmolested by their government. They don't have the full Fourth Amendment rights under the Constitution that I have because the skin tone is different. They speak with a different accent. And that's okay with Brett Kavanaugh. That's okay with Stephen Miller. That's okay with Donald Trump. That's okay with Kristi Noem. That's okay with Pete Hegseth. That's okay with Marco Rubio, a brown man himself. They don't care. Fortunately for us, most of us do. That is why when there is a protest in your area, sign up, get involved. Call your congressperson, 202-224-3121. I have the number memorized. You should too. Put it in your phone. Again, 202-224-3121. That is the United States Capitol switchboard. This isn't going to end well if we don't end it. I love and appreciate you. I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. Hopefully I am in a better mood tomorrow. Hopefully you're in a better mood tomorrow, because I'm just assuming you're sharing my shitty mood with me. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much again. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.